Hello, my loves. This is a coffee. Let's sip and yap, shall we? The National Book Festival is this weekend. Before I tell you all about it, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me a lot so I can keep telling you all about fun bookish things. And if you'd like, go ahead and have some fun clicking through the rest of the links in the description below. Now about the National Book Festival. Saturday, August 22nd marks the 26th year of the National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. This event was originally hosted by the First Lady many years ago, but the Library of Congress has been the host for quite a while now, and this is an event I try not to miss. I have always gotten so much out of it, even in the years when the layout became tricky or things were chaotic. This event is still my personal standard for book conventions done right, and I am so excited for this year's programming and author lineup. Most especially, I am looking forward to Sylvia Moreno-Garcia, Emily Wilson, and Amal El-Motar, but Kiddo is over the moon for Shannon Messenger and Jennifer Lynn Barnes. We're going to try to get to as many of their panels as possible, and if we can handle the lines, maybe get a few things signed. Now, because I have some experience with attending this event, and also because a few elements are changing this year, I want to go over some of the things that I've personally learned about how to best prepare as an attendee and get the most out of the festival. There is so much, and it can get a little overwhelming, but this is a book event I keep coming back to for a reason, and I want to make sure everyone interested in going has the very best time. First and foremost, while this is a public event, it does require tickets. This is the very first year you are required to have a ticket in order to get through the door. In past years, everyone has always been free to come and go, but I do think that this is a good change. Especially in 2024, the crowds were really tricky to navigate, and while the layout changed last year to accommodate a higher number of people, it's probably smart to have a cap on that number to prevent any chaos and limit confusion. Now, tickets are free, but they must be booked in advance through the Library of Congress website at loc.gov. Last I checked, there are still plenty available, but you will not be able to get tickets at the door, so if you do plan to attend, go ahead and get that part out of the way first. This next thing is for first-time festival attendees, and this is a common mistake I've seen many newcomers make. While, yes, the official host of the festival is the Library of Congress, the festival itself does not take place at the Library of Congress. It is held at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. The Library of Congress is, of course, always worth a visit, but there is simply not enough room in that building to accommodate all of the programming the festival offers. Years ago, it took place outside on the National Mall, but the convention center is definitely the right location for it. It's a lot cooler inside, there's tons of room, you have access to regular bathrooms, and panels aren't dealing with ambient noise from the street. Anyway, don't go to the library on the day of the festival, go to the convention center. If you're local or even local-ish to DC, I do recommend taking the metro if you can. The convention center is right at the Mount Vernon Square stop on the green and yellow lines, but I've always used Metro Center, which is a very quick and easy walk away, and this is where you can take the red, blue, orange, and silver Metro lines. If you do prefer to drive, just be aware that parking in DC can get a little expensive. If you want to be certain of your spot and avoid playing roulette with street parking, there are some garages that do allow you to reserve a spot in advance through websites like Spot Hero. On to the festival itself. Doors open at 8:30 in the morning, programming starts at 9. Have a hearty breakfast and get there on the early side. More time to orient yourself and become familiar with the layout is generally a good idea. There will be printed maps for you to grab, as well as large format signage for you to follow. All of this will be posted in very easy to find places. But the opportunity to have a quick look around and just get situated has always really helped me a lot. The main atrium gets a lot of attention because this is where the Library of Congress has their main setup, and they do always have their own rotation of programming. They talk about everything from how to use the library's resources to how library learning has changed over time. They dig into all kinds of cool topics, so that is not to be missed. Even if you just sidle up next to it for a few minutes at a time, which I have done, and it's a great opportunity to pick up on some really cool information. In that same big area is also the Passport to Reading, which is always so fun to see. The IMLS, or Institute for Museum and Library Services, pulls together tables that represent every state and US territory. You'll be given a map and can go around and get each place stamped, but you'll also learn about books written by authors from those places, books that take place in those states or territories. You can chat with librarians from those library systems, and so many of them will bring stickers and bookmarks and souvenirs. Louisiana always has Mardi Gras beads. Tennessee loves their cardboard cutout of Dolly Parton, because obviously they're very proud of her, but also to many kids she's known as the book lady. Lots of fun to be had at those tables. I highly recommend checking them out, especially if you're bringing young readers with you. Most tables will have book selections for both kids and adults. Along with those tables, lots and lots of organizations, especially educational ones, will be well represented. Various other book festivals and book clubs, resources for students who are curious about coding and outer space and language learning, nonprofits in the reading and education space. Planet Word is a particular favorite of mine. It's a museum in DC that focuses on the evolution of words and the impact of language. That's another video. I love Planet Word. They will also have a table at the National Book Festival alongside dozens of others that are absolutely worth checking out. Now let's talk about the scheduling for just a moment. I mentioned panels and I mentioned author signing. Both of these things are huge draws that bring in a ton of people. If you are interested in one or both of these things, two considerations to bear in mind: planning your time and waiting in line. In the past, I have always prioritized panels over signings, and I've had no trouble getting a seat at every panel I wanted to see. But that is because I am very type A about reviewing the schedule prior to the day of the festival. While there will be printed paper copies available to you when you walk through the door, I find it really helpful to have all of the times and locations in advance, especially because Kiddo has authors she's really eager to see this year. It's important to know when what she wants to do conflicts with something I want to do so that we can plan ahead. Even if all you do is panels, which again, I've been very happy with in years past, you will need to wait in a line to get into the room, particularly for those held on the main stage or any of the bigger halls. Y'all, Cynthia Erivo is closing out the main stage this year, okay? Martin Scorsese has a panel in there. Bigger names draw bigger crowds, so if a panelist is very well known, the line may get pretty long, but they do try to accommodate as many people as possible. Those lines, in my experience, move pretty quickly. So unless you're there super early hoping to get a seat in the front row, you shouldn't be stuck waiting super long. That said, I wouldn't wait until the last minute because I have seen rooms fill to capacity and they will have to turn people away. Now for author signings, this is a different story. I most certainly have a lot less experience waiting in the signing lines, and I've heard lots of mixed stories here. The year Rebecca Yarros came, apparently that line was 4 hours long and she couldn't get to everyone. So the folks at the back of the line who'd been waiting the longest didn't even get what they came for. But this is also a pretty common critique across book conventions in general. This is not unique to the National Book Festival. My advice here is to talk to the volunteers when you line up. They will be very easy to spot in their festival t-shirts, and they should be able to tell you about how long your anticipated wait time will be and whether you're likely to get the autograph you're after. This is where time management comes in. If you want to get a book signed by an author and also see their panel, that may prove to be tricky, and you may want to determine early on which of those experiences is more important to you. Sometimes those author commitments are scheduled side by side. So if you attend their panel and they go straight to their signing lines right after, then you're at the back of that line and may not get their signature. There will also be occasions where authors go straight from their signing line to a panel, so they cannot keep signing even if they wanted to, no matter how much longer that line still is. And then even if you rush to their panel after leaving their signing line, that room might already be full. There are designated signing lines for everyone, so if an author has a start time at 2 p.m., the author using that same line beforehand has a hard cutoff at 2. That's something it's important to plan for. It is very often not the author's choice to only sign for an allotted amount of time, but they have to keep the schedule moving. Please don't hold that against them. Speaking of not holding things against people, a moment ago I mentioned the volunteers, and that's probably my most important piece of advice. Treat them with the kindness and respect and courtesy they deserve. The volunteers are our friends. They work very hard, they do a spectacular job every year, and they truly will do their best to answer your questions and make sure you have a great time. Volunteers will be passing out schedules and maps and posters and tote bags. Volunteers will be standing around with paddles that say, "Ask me your questions," so you can find them very easily. If you are ever confused or disoriented, find a volunteer, and please, pretty please, mind your manners and be on your best behavior. They are there to help you. Speaking of behavior, this is a big one. The National Book Festival is an all ages event. This is a book convention for every reader. There will be families with small children, and this is great, and they are more than welcome because there is a ton of programming for kids. There's always a spot in the main atrium for story time, with beanbag chairs and places to sit all over the floor so they can listen to someone read a picture book. Highlights magazine is usually there. Scholastic always makes an appearance. All of this to say, if you are a grown-up and looking for a grown-ups only experience, I need you to manage your expectations. There will be strollers. There will be littles running around. There may be a couple of kids struggling to manage their big feelings and being a little loud about it. There may be a few overwhelmed parents trying to manage their kids in a unique environment. I'm asking you to please practice patience. The children are allowed and the children are welcome. welcome. This is not an event designed around adults. This is an event designed for everyone. On the flip side of that, to the families. As always, please be aware of your surroundings when bringing the kiddos. There will absolutely be lots for them to do and see, but it is a big convention center with plenty of folks visiting from out of town. Just try to be aware of each other when navigating the crowd. The festival is typically really good about providing some additional quiet spaces, so if anyone of any age needs a second to decompress or calm down or regroup, there will be places where you can do that are a little tucked out of the way. Speaking of taking breaks, the convention center does sell food, and there will be opportunities between activities to grab a bite to eat. But what has really helped me in years past is just to have something quick on hand. You are allowed to bring a water bottle, and there are places throughout the convention center to refill them as you go. I usually have a couple of granola bars with me, just something small and filling to snack on. I'll get to the rest of what I keep in my bag with me in a moment, but a small-ish water bottle that doesn't weigh me down too much, and a couple of things to munch on are usually a pretty good idea. Say hello to Gritty, the king of Philadelphia. Snacks aside, I have also found it really useful to set aside a bit of time to actually leave the convention center. I typically grab lunch elsewhere. There is a whole strip of restaurants right nearby, with lots of tasty options within a 5-minute walk. If you are a planner like me and have your must-dos figured out in advance, go ahead and grab yourself a reservation and leave the building. Make yourself get out for a minute. Fresh air, sunshine, a seat at an eatery where you may enjoy a pleasant meal either by yourself or with companions. This is a suggestion that I swear by. It really helps me break up my day. I have a moment to self-regulate a little bit, manage any sense of overwhelm from being surrounded by hundreds of people for hours at a time. It also helps boost my energy a little bit to help make it through the rest of the afternoon. And I end up enjoying the second half of the day so much more when I give myself a little break. It's not at all a groundbreaking concept. Walk away from the thing that feels like a lot and return after you've had a minute to breathe. Other things about the National Book Festival before I get into what I would recommend bringing with you. There will be workshops and there will be shops. The workshops span writers groups and brainstorming sessions, chats about poetry, meetups about comics and graphic novels, more activities for kids. If you are there to participate in any of these, do make sure you get to those on the early side as well. You'll have some time to grab a spot, introduce yourself, and just get a feel for the group before the workshop kicks off. As for shopping, this is not a convention with a vendor's village, so you shouldn't expect to see artists or indie authors selling their work there like you would at an event like BookCon. But there are two places I always hit and am immediately separated from my money. The first is the Library of Congress gift shop. This is typically up in that main atrium I talked about earlier. This is where you can get festival merch. Now, I am a big fan of snagging each year's crew neck sweatshirt, but they do also offer t-shirts. There are stickers and coffee mugs and tote bags with that year's poster design as well. The posters themselves are free, and there are freebie tote bags that they give away each year, but the merch tables are obviously where you can find the sturdier ones. This same gift shop section typically also has a lot of the same items you would purchase at the Library of Congress itself. Embroidered throw pillows with that one Thomas Jefferson quote, Library of Congress baseball caps, a fancy set of coasters with artworks from the library painted on them. You get the idea. But Mary, it's a book festival. Where does one find the books to purchase? Why, what an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked. Politics and Prose is the dedicated bookseller of the event, and they will have a lot of things for sale. Last year, the bookshop and the author signing lines were both moved downstairs. This, I think, was a really smart move, both in terms of maximizing space and making it super easy for attendees who wanted a new book signed have everything they needed all in one space. In 2024, I don't think I bought anything from the bookshop because it was just too crowded and chaotic. So the choice to move it downstairs last year, where there was a lot more room to spread out, I think was very smart. Plenty more room to browse. I hope that's the case again this year. Now, the bookshop will have copies of every title being actively discussed by their authors in the panels. If an author has a new release, which many of them tend to do, that title will be available for purchase at Politics and Prose. If they do not, a selection of their work will be there, but it is never an exhaustive collection of their books. V.E. Schwab was there last year. They truly do not have room to sell all 20 plus of Schwab's books. There were copies of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil because that was the book Schwab was there to primarily discuss during their panel. Is that clear? Ish, the book offerings are not at all comprehensive. Their focus is to make sure that every author who is either touring or promoting their most recent work has the full opportunity to hype it up. And they want to help those authors drive those sales, especially for folks hoping to buy the new copies and take them directly into the author signing line. They would also run out of space extremely quickly if they were to try to offer every title from every featured author. To that end, the focus is on the works of presenting authors. Do not go looking for a copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray. Oscar Wilde is not attending this festival. But there are usually gifty things like The Great Gatsby t-shirts and Jane Austen tarot cards, and silly little desk tchotchkes and many more tote bags. Back around to tote bags, what's in mine, you ask? Why, I would love to tell you. This little pouch, I actually made this one myself. She's a sewist, but obviously any small zippered bag will do just fine. And this is full of the critical things to keep you from getting sick or injured. We have hand sanitizer, painkillers, a vapor inhaler, lip balm, tissues, wet wipes, a selection of band-aids, and antibacterial ointment. This is mostly for blisters and paper cuts, but one never knows. The festival does not require that you mask, but in a large crowd, sometimes it's good just to have the option, so I am bringing one for myself and one for kiddo. I mentioned my small water bottle earlier. I don't ever take my big one to all-day events like this because I just don't want the extra weight to carry around. The small one suits me just fine. It has a very tight seal, so no leaks. I just toss it in the bag so I don't forget it anywhere, and I'll refill it a couple of times throughout the day, no worries. Portable phone charger. I don't usually need to recharge midday, but it's always good to have a backup just in case. Last year, I did wear my emotional support denim jacket, but I actually don't plan to bring a top layer this year. The convention center is pretty good about maintaining a consistent temperature, and while it is pretty cool inside, it's not enough for me to justify a cardigan in late August. That said, if you do tend to run cold, a lot of the rooms with the panels tend to be pretty dark and windowless, and other areas are huge and wide and cavernous. So just be aware of what might help keep you more comfortable. So other than that, keys, wallet, phone, and the rest of this big old tote bag stays empty on the way there, because more room for goodies when we arrive. I know I'm going to want to grab this year's sweatshirt from the Library of Congress merch area. I will definitely be picking up a few new books from the Politics and Prose bookshop. Yes, they will give me a tote bag for free when I get there, but I have a lot more confidence in my very sturdily constructed Daunt Bookshops tote when it comes to the security of my belongings. The free tote will likely carry my new sweatshirt home and then get added to the grocery bag stash, and that is okay. I don't plan on bringing books from home for authors to sign. I do have my much beloved Sylvia Moreno Garcia copies, but I want to buy my copy of her latest release, The Intrigue, while I'm there, and if I get it signed, great. If not, that one's been on my wish list anyway. I do also have my copy of Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey, which I love, but I don't need it signed. And her latest book, Crossing the Wine Dark Sea, releases in the United States 1 week after the festival, but the Library of Congress website says that she will be signing copies of that book. I really want a copy of that, so I'm looking forward to picking that up from Politics and Prose too. If not, I'll just have to suffer the wait. And yes, it did release in the UK back in June, and yes, I did consider placing a Waterstones order so that I would have it in advance, on the off chance that the festival wouldn't be selling early release copies. But no need, it looks like they are. So the empty room in the bag on the way there will not remain empty on the journey home. Also, regarding what books to bring with us, the signing lines we will likely be standing in this year are for kiddo's favorite authors. She has a special edition copy of one of the books that she is hoping to get signed, but that's really the only one she's after, and if we find others in Politics and Prose that she likes, great. And she can carry those in her own damn bag. Again, I'm mostly there for the panels. If any of the lines for the authors I'm interested in don't look too bad, and if kiddo's up for it, we'll try it. If another author she's interested in has a quick and easy line, we'll do that too, but no matter how it shakes out, neither one of us really wants to carry a heavy stack of books in and out of DC just to roll the dice on whether or not we can get them signed. I am also personally just not a rolling cart girly. No judgment, it's just not my style. If you do have particular copies that are important to you that you want to get signed, just be aware that books get heavy, especially after a few hours. Other things I recommend bringing with you: comfy shoes. We will be on our feet a lot. There will be plenty of walking. Yes, there is ample seating, elevators and escalators, accommodations for whatever you need, but for me, this is not the occasion for heels or sandals or even my very cute and comfy flats. A book convention day is a sneaker day for Mary, always. And that's pretty much it. Be prepared to have fun, bring some extra money for bookish goodies. It's a really great time. I always come away from this event feeling like I got something valuable out of it. If you cannot make it in person, there will be a live stream on loc.gov/bookfest. for everything taking place on the main stage, which tends to include the bigger names. There will also be recordings available shortly after the festival on the Library of Congress YouTube channel. The National Book Festival also has some great media partners, including C-SPAN's Book TV, NPR, WAMU, and The Washington Post. All of the media partners will be around all day, interviewing authors and live streaming other portions of the event on their own websites and social media accounts. So even if you won't be there in person, there is still so much to get out of the day, lots of opportunities to learn and hear from your favorite authors. Any questions? Drop them in the comments below. If you're seeing this on Bindery, thank you so much for being a supporter. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, I would love it if you liked and subscribed, and maybe check out my Bindery in the link below. As always, thank you millions for watching. I'm so glad you're here.